let's move on. We're going to talk next about Ghost of Tsushima. Matt, is this your most anticipated game of any game?
I mean,
more than Cyberpunk?
Cyberpunk is probably still up. It goes back and forth. I mean, this thing was, I'm probably more excited about Tsushima just because presently it appears that it will be coming out first. Yep. So I'll be able to play it sooner.
It also, to me, appears to be more in your wheelhouse, if that makes sense. As far as sword-based combat.
I don't know if it's more in my wheelhouse in term compared to sort of, but I don't know if it's in my wheelhouse compared to like a, large open world action RPG made by the Witcher people. Like that's about in my wheelhouse as you get. Although I do wish you could play it third person. I mean, it's a toss up, really. I think at this point, and the more I find out about Tsushima, the more I think it sounds like what I want. It's also funny that like one of the articles I read talked about this, or maybe it was a Reddit post or something, but they were basically like, playing as a samurai is not a new thing in video game. I'm like, yeah, but not that common, and also not like this.
On how you approach the samurai.
Yeah, like this is not like.
I mean, samurai have been in
a lot of times. Samurai, a lot of times samurai is just like guy in robe with sword,
dude with curved sword,
pretty much.
Dude with katana. That's pretty much all it takes.
Yeah, but this seems to be a very different approach and a very different approach to the open world thing than what Sucker Punch has done before. Like a lot of the new information in this official PlayStation magazine, which is still a thing, preview.
I was shocked. The official Xbox magazine just closed last week, by the way. Last week. Yeah. It was only being published in Europe, though, I think, at that point.
It just like, everything I hear about this game sounds better to me. And it might, it really might be the prettiest game I've ever seen.
It's in there. It's in that
technologically the most advanced ever, but like in terms of aesthetics, like I look at every shot of this thing and I'm just like, man, Sucker Punch is a master of color and lighting.
Yep.
Like they just know exactly how to frame that stuff.
What also had great lighting was the Resident Evil 3 remake. He didn't play it, but the lighting in that game was amazing. Like sometimes, and they mess with it. Like you go into a room and the whole room would just be blue light. And then they just put like 3 or 4 zombies in there so you could see how the light was working. Like that game had some really, really good lighting. And you're right. Ghost of Tsushima also has amazing lighting and coloring as well. So as Matt insinuated, there was a preview of the game in official PlayStation magazine, which does still exist somehow. And literally pretty much gave us the first real details on how Ghost of Tsushima plays. We've had several trailers, and most of them have not been gameplay centric. One of the first ones showed like a sword duel, but the last couple have been like story and character centric trailers.
Yeah, and I mean, there was around the Game Awards, there was like you could tell there was gameplay there, although they used cinematic angles.
Yeah,
but it sounds from this that like they're going real minimalist. Like there's not going to be a lot of HUD. There's not going to be waypoints showing you where to go. Like
that is a big deal.
Like they want you in the world using landmarks, like navigating.
Yeah, they're going to force you to learn. So let's start from the beginning. The gameplay takes place on an island, Tsushima Island. You are a samurai on the island. The island has been attacked by the Mongols. It's up to you to repel the attack and save the island of Tsushima. And because you are a samurai and you use stealth, you are called the Ghost of Tsushima. You're the guy who sneaks in the shadows around the island and takes care of business. Now, what struck me the most about the new information in this report is that it really sounds like Assassin's Creed without waypoints. They talked about in the preview how you have to take down camps and castles. They didn't say anything about sinking parts of the island, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's there. But there are kind of outposts that you need to invade and take over. And they did say that you can do it in different ways. You can go in swords blazing as a samurai, or you can go more ninja-like and sneak in and handle your business via stealth. But the structure of the game, to me, is what was the big story here. I kind of guessed a lot of that other stuff, but the way the game works with no waypoints and that it's a big open world where you're trying to take back the island, it sounds a lot like an Assassin's Creed or a Far Cry to me, which isn't a bad thing at all. But I just think that maybe people weren't expecting that. I think I expected more of just a straightforward action adventure maybe than something more akin to Assassin's Creed. How do you feel about it? Are you happy about that, Matt? I mean, you're a big Creed fan, so.
I mean, I'm not sure what you did not think it was going to be open world, or?
I thought it would be, but I didn't think it was going to be kind of one of these take over the territory type games the way a lot of them are. I just thought it was going to be more of a linear, like, go here, handle this task, go here, return whatever you just got to this person, get the next task, go out and complete that.
I mean, I suspect there will be some of that too, but it really did. I mean, it clearly was an invasion game, and like some, it is historically based. Like there is an island called Tsushima, and the Mongols did invade it, and they did not succeed. And that's and it's going to be an interesting thing in terms of like they talk about how you're going to have to forge alliances with different groups and like determine who your allies are going to be, and some allies might freeze out other allies because they don't get along and that kind of thing. And
a lot
the
of
Mongols,
diplomacy.
and the Mongols are not just not just setting up camps and setting up like fortifications. They've taken castles. There's going to be like some real dug in positions that you're going to need allies to get to. And I think just based on what we'd already seen, like clearly there's going to be a stealth element to it. Like Ghost implies that already, but you can't have a stand-up fight if you're not going to win, especially if you don't have horses. So that always made sense. I mean, what we're finding out is like maybe not exactly what I expected, but like in some ways better than I expected. Like I thought it was maybe going to be a pretty straightforward open world game, but it sounds like they're, infamous with swords. But it sounds like they're really changing up what has been a formula for them for the last
forever
four games.
For a long time.
Infamous 1, 2, First Light, and Second Son.
I do wonder where this formula eventually goes. I haven't got to the point where I'm sick of it yet. I still enjoy pretty much all the high quality games in that genre or subgenre, if you want to call it that. I just wonder where it goes, because I haven't really seen, and from Ubisoft included, a lot of innovation in this sort of design over the last several years.
Well, I think you're going to see either a leap forward or a tremendous crash and burn in Watch Dogs Legion.
That's probably a good point.
And we'll see. I think there's going to be, Ubisoft is kind of the forefront of this formula, just because they do it so much. I think Watch Dogs Legion is a big deal there, and I think Assassin's Creed Vikings, or whatever they end up calling it, like, can they have, they did Origin, which was a great reinvention, and Odyssey, I think, really gelled a lot of Origin's ideas into a more coherent whole. But Vikings is going to be the real test of like, can they take this and do something, keep moving it forward, or are they just going to make it, is this going to be just Odysseys with long ships, like that's going to be a real test. And also if they ever get Beyond Good and Evil 2 made, that is taking that kind of idea, that formula, into a very different context. So that would be an interesting way to try and reinvent it. And I think you saw some of that in Starlink, even though Starlink was a very simple idea to some degree in comparison to what Beyond Good and Evil 2 is trying. So I think as much as people like to make fun of Ubisoft for stagnating, I think you got to keep your eye on them for sort of the advancement, the open world stuff, because they're the only ones who make them often enough to really iterate on the idea. Whereas like you compare to something like Rockstar.
I was just going to ask you, what about Red Dead 2? Is that not a template for people going forward?
I don't think it is, because Red Dead 2 doesn't really do anything new or interesting. It just
that's fun.
Really
that makes the game,
production value.
that makes it better.
Right.
It's like it does interesting stuff that's just not really all that fun. And so that's my concern with Ghost of Tsushima. When they said no waypoints, that sent up a little bit of a red flag for me, because I immediately flashed to playing Red Dead 2, which does have waypoints. But like it takes a while before you can use like the warp system in the game, and then once you do use it, it's kind of limited. As long as Ghost of Tsushima has quick travel, I think I'll be okay. As long as I don't have to spend, like I did with Red Dead 2, hours and hours riding on the back of a horse, I'll be okay. A little bit.
I would guess it will. You'll just be able to take a cart somewhere or whatever.
I would have guessed a new Rockstar game, would handle things differently, but they didn't, and they are stubborn.
I mean, you can take like wagons and stuff places in Red Dead. You just got to pay for it, which is Which to me might as well mean there is no fast travel because I'm never going to pay you $12 to take a wagon somewhere or ride the train. It takes too long.
Especially in that game where the economy, like every dollar matters.
I am not in any way. It would never occur to me to kind of like look at Red Dead Redemption 2 or a Rockstar game and think, well, will Sucker Punch copy this? No one's going to copy it because a lot of Rockstar's ideas are archaic and dumb and
it got
boring.
perfect 10s though.
Because it's Rockstar. Like no one else would get. We'll get into another game later in this show that would not be getting the ratings it was getting if it wasn't what it was either. Yeah. But there is definitely, I think, and not even ratings, but just like public response. You hit things where the pedigree of something matters to the point of ignoring things that should be blatant problems that anyone would have with a game that didn't have that. Breath of the Wild had that too. Like there's stuff in Breath of the Wild that would be savaged in a Ubisoft game.
Yep.
But aren't because it's Zelda.
I did.
And but I think you're seeing the same thing with Final Fantasy VII Remake right now. And you saw the same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2. Although I think Red Dead Redemption 2 did not get away with it quite as much because I did see plenty of people saying, no, I am really annoyed with how slow everything goes in this. And I don't want to brush my horse anymore. And just the busy work and the tedium in the name of immersion, whatever the hell that means in the context of a Rockstar game. I don't see a company as aware of how to make something good and well paced as Sucker Punch, taking that as a lesson.
Are you more excited or less excited for Ghost of Tsushima after this info?
I don't know if I could be more excited, really, but I like what I heard in the preview. Like it's all positive things to me. I understand what you mean when you hear no waypoints and you think like, is that going to get annoying after a while? Because I don't think no waypoints means no fast travel. I think it means there's not going to be a giant arrow pointing you in the direction you need to go. You just have to like figure out where you need to be.
I like those arrows, Matt.
Sometimes those arrows are nice.
We should. I feel like we should be able to turn them on or off if we want to.
I would bet if there really is no guidance, I will bet you that we will have a patch that adds it in like 2 weeks.
Not before it comes out though, because the press will eat it up and say it's this game changer, and then everyone else will start playing and be like, I don't know what you're talking about. This is crap.
But I definitely feel like if they really are going hardcore on the no waypoint thing, I bet they have a waypoint system ready to patch in if there's a backlash.
Just flip a switch and off it goes.
Game that's already done it before, and that's Zelda Breath of the Wild.
There's tons of games without waypoints. You go back to old games, none of them had waypoints.
Right. I mean, you don't have to make waypoints in that game, and that thing got such acclaim for doing such a thing. And, all this info, I don't read it as being an Assassin's Creed type game. Just watching the gameplay from what E3 showed, you are attacking a building and an infrastructure that is full of enemies, but there's a story that progresses through that with characters, and it seems
every game does that.
Yeah, but this one seems, and along with their talk
like about Assassin's Creed does that.
Along with it, they talked about like characters, your conversations, your alliances, the things that happen with those characters will be significant. I wonder if it changes how the scenarios appear when you approach those areas. Not necessarily that they will always be just a giant tower and just take it out. It might be, hey, you have a person, there's a situation, you need to figure out how to, go there, but things will happen within that area that's just not as simple as take out all the enemies. Things will happen within that area, just like in the demo.
I mean, I don't know. I think if you're talking about no waypoint stuff, my guess is going to be similar to Odyssey, where Odyssey had the mode where they didn't have a waypoint for you to go to. They just said, the thing you need is in this area of this province. And I played the entire 170 hours of the game like that. I thought that was great. I preferred that.
But again, that's why you have the option. Like you should just put the option in. So if people like it, you can use it. People who don't.
Yeah, but if it's integral to how the game is going to play, and it sounds like it might be on this one, that might just be how it is. Assassin's Creed Odyssey didn't, it worked as an option because it wasn't integral to how it all unfolded. But if they
they did put a lot of work.
You're the one who wants innovation
to make it work, though. Let's be honest. Like you were able to play the whole 100+ hours without waypoints because
Yeah.
of the work they did on the game to make it happen.
But I don't. If this is such a thing that they bring it up in the big preview 2 months before the game comes out, it sounds like that was an integral idea to the game design, which makes me think they probably would put Sucker Punch is even more effort put in to make it play well in that regard.
Which, how colorful the game is, it probably will be easily presentable to understand.
Yeah. I'm sure there'll be a map.
There will be yellow
for sure.
leaves everywhere in the area that you need to go into. There's going to be a marsh, and it's very specific differences.
Well, okay. If I have to figure out where I need to go because every mission gives me a different haiku, I might get annoyed after a while. But it's. I think from what we've already seen in the game, they're not going to have a problem making different areas and different places feel unique, at least visually. So.
They're going to have
all
to.
right. It'll be all right.
If it's all palm trees and beaches, it could get annoying real fast.
I don't think there's going to be a lot of palm trees in Tsushima.
Yeah, well, if you just
where is it located geographically? Actually, I don't even know.
It's just off Japan. It's
okay.
It's island. Japan is a series of islands. It's just one of those islands.
Well, if you even look at the latest trailer they showed, they literally just did 7 or 8 cuts of completely different environments, like very distinct differences that you could identify. If you were saying, go here, you could identify that.
Yep. Maybe they've even incorporated some kind of crazy mapping functionality where you can like mark stuff and maybe put like label stuff with your own words if you want to. Like they maybe work around it.
The other thing I would suggest looking at, and I'm not saying it was implemented tremendously well, but look at Sinking City. You remember that one?
Yeah.
That was last year. That game is a detective, open world city detective, like figure out the side quests and the things quests and clues and has no waypoints. It doesn't help you at all. Like there is no no marker on where to go anywhere. You have to open the map and literally mark it up the way you want and figure out how the clues connect. It's all up to you. And it tells you when you get it right, obviously, but it's not there to like hold you by the hand and guide you through the city. You have to figure out what building they're talking about. Sometimes you only know a certain area you got to go to. You go to the area and you got to find the bar they're talking about. And then that bar will be on your map if you mark it on there. Like there is a way to do it that enhances rather than detracts. Sinking City doesn't always enhance. It's a very clunky game, but what they're after, if you can get that game for like cheap at some point, I don't think you'd like it a lot, but I think you'd be interested in what it's trying to do.
Yeah. I just wonder if, you're talking about Sony first party games, you're expecting 10, 15 million sales. Mm-hmm. That might be a tough road to toe if your game is not friendly to casuals.
I don't know. I think if you design it right, it's natural. We find our way around a lot anyway, although granted a lot of us use GPS to the point that we don't know how to go anywhere anymore.
It's true.
But
yeah. So I'll just answer my question as well. I am more excited about the game now than I was before. I like pretty much everything they've mentioned. I'm not a huge no waypoints person, but I do believe what you said, that there'll be a bunch of backlash about it and it won't be long until it's there. But
assuming it's not already an option, like if it might be in there.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like it's not. Like they're trying to push the narrative that you're going to have to find your own way around. That could be great if they've handled it well. You don't need waypoints if you focused on from the beginning, making sure that there are recognizable landmarks that you can use to kind of mentally make that note of where everything is. And if they've done it that way from the beginning, then chances are it's probably going to be okay.
Yeah, like Breath of the Wild's advantage was actually how empty that world was.
Yeah.
Like it was pretty easy to sort of go somewhere and the next interesting thing you found in that direction was the thing you needed to do.
Yeah. Yeah. But also I would argue that Breath of the Wild, a lot of that in-between stuff was really freaking boring.
Yeah.
That game was full of, my biggest complaint about the game is it's full of emptiness. There's nothing, there's a enemy camp that you can face against the same type of enemy you faced off 20 times before that and break your nice sword. But it's so barren to the point where I'm like, this is wasted space. And, at least with something with Ghost of Tsushima, they're giving me something more interesting to look at than just a barren wasteland.